development and I did at XPeopleCon this past year, but this presentation is kind of a subset of that. Greg is here with me as well. We're not going to get into quite as much technical detail as we did in that presentation, but if we have some technical questions as we get to the end, we've got Greg here along with Cam and myself to answer any questions that might come up as they come up. But my plan is to kind of give an overview of Connect and how it can help enable email here specifically, and then show it to you and show you where it works in the application. When I saw some of the registrants, people who had signed up for the webinar, I noticed that there were some users of Postbooks out there. So it might be the case that you're using Postbooks and have been thinking about or had thought about Connect and how this might help your environment. So that's what we're trying to show today, not just to Postbooks users, but to everybody and to somebody that's an active user of it, maybe some ways to use the application that you hadn't known or hadn't thought of. We really do think about Connect itself as a pretty flexible Swiss Army knife kind of tool. It does a lot of things in our world. We use it for lots of different business cases. So look forward to talking a little bit about that and fielding your questions as you've got questions. So today what we're doing is as I said, the focus is on Connect here. We do these webinars a couple of times a month, and we have several different tracks that we follow on that we're always trying to make the webinars the subject of. They include business management solutions, so operations kinds of things, business tools that are included with the application. There's a track for e-commerce, and we'll continue to do that and talk about the different ways that some of our customers are using our e-commerce tools and some of the ways that you can use the e-commerce tools. Operations and planning kinds of tracks. So working with Mike Atherton, the last webinar that we did focused specifically on MRP and those planning tools. That was a good one if you have the chance to go back and listen to those. And some that are very much just focused on technology. These are complimentary webinars. We do these, as I said, a couple times a month. There's other ways that you can learn more about XPeople if you want to. There's classroom training. In fact, we have a technical session going on here right now. We call it our Power User training session. That's being conducted here locally, but we also have some people working in that class remotely. So that's an option. So lots of ways that you can learn more about XPeople from a pretty deep technical perspective, both with the Power Users class and that other class that's listed there, the setup, configuration, and operation of XPeople. That's really kind of a project manager's class. So we have classes, we have the webinars. We put these webinars up on the web for you to view at a later time if you couldn't make it or if you want to go back and see other ones. We also try and provide as much information as is possible to put out on the website for you to do your own self-education. But we're happy to talk to you if you have some specific questions or if you want to engage with us or one of our terrific partners that we have all over the country, all over the world. We'd be happy to introduce you to somebody local. We've got terrific resources to help you with your implementation. So just a little bit of kind of overview of XPeople. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but I do want to point out that XPeople is really, as a solution, XPeople ERP, there's really 4 different options here that are available. There's the Postbooks edition, which is the entry-level version of XPeople ERP. That does include CRM, it includes accounting, it includes a little bit of inventory and a little bit of manufacturing as well. But as you need more kind of inventory and manufacturing abilities or capabilities in an application, you move from left to right here. The distribution and manufacturing edition cover those industries pretty well. And then we have an enterprise edition that we kind of call the all-in version. And talking about Connect here, the enterprise edition is kind of a good way to lead into it. Connect is available as an add-on module, right? It can plug into Postbooks, it can plug into the distribution edition, it can plug into manufacturing edition. It comes with the enterprise edition. It's one example of several add-on modules that are available for purchase as standalones to go with any of the other editions, or that just come with the Enterprise Edition. So if you purchase the Enterprise Edition, you have it, you have the rights to it. If you haven't used it yet, you might want to download it and check it out because you have full access to that. So it's certainly available with all of these editions, but comes with the Enterprise Edition. So again, of all of the things that XPeople Connect can do, the things that we're going to focus on today is the emailing with XPeople. So emailing with XPeople requires Connect. So you know, some people I know save their outputs to a PDF, and you can certainly attach that PDF to email and email them out. XPeople Connect helps to automate that whole process. So you can send out documents to your trading partners like POs to vendors, sales order acknowledgments to customers, invoices to customers, statements to customers. If you're using the incident tracker or our case management application, there's a whole series of email things that happen as a result of initiating an incident in the system, sending out, updating incidents with the system. They all push out emails to update people that are involved with that particular incident. So those are the kinds of things that you can do in terms of pushing out documents to partners. And then we also have the ability to integrate email with the entire CRM system. So perhaps there's an email correspondence that goes along with your incident, or a series of email messages that you've had with a particular customer or prospect that you want to track with your customer. You know, that's where the power of this thing comes in as well, because more and more aren't our communications with our various trading partners through email, right? They're more and more, you've sent an email to a vendor, they've sent a message back, and you're back and forth 3 or 4 times before maybe you've even picked up the phone and thought about calling them. Well, having that information available inside of the ERP application so that you can later go back and kind of reconstruct the conversation that you had about a particular instance or issue that you had with them or a discussion that you had with them is terrific. So that's the other thing that Connect does. In addition to being able to push out documents, you can integrate and attach your various emails that you've had, correspondence that you've had with your various trading partners out there. So one of the things that Cam had mentioned earlier is that we're going to be doing a poll in order for you to be able to get CPE credits if you'd like to. So we're going to take a quick break here and do the first question before we dive into some of the specifics of how Connect enables email.
All right, thanks, Wally. The first polling question we have is, Connect is only available with the Enterprise Edition, and you're going to select true or false there. So you should see that on your screen. Go ahead and vote.
Did they vote?
Yeah. So we got almost everybody. 83%. Got a couple of wrong answers. I'm kind of disappointed. All right, let's go ahead and close it. So the answer was false. Connect is available with all of the editions of XPeople, including Postbooks. You could obviously get it with Postbooks, the free edition or the commercial edition, so any edition.
So it's available as a purchase add-on. So there's actually an XPeople store. It's xpeople.com/exchange, or you can get there through navigating the menu system of products. So you can see the different add-ons. So it is available as an add-on for any user of the application. Let's talk first about number 2 here, integrating email with XPeople. So if you're a user of XPeople and not a user of Connect, what you're looking at here is a project screen that you might have seen before, but you might notice there's an extra tab that's associated with this particular object, this project, right? right? So if you came in, you might see all those other tabs down the bottom, tasks and billing and all of that, but you wouldn't see the email tab. You only see that when you've enabled email integration with the application and you have Connect installed. So you'd see that tab on the project. You'd see it on, this is a sales order. You'd see the email tab. Here's a CRM account. You'd see the email tab. So suddenly this email tab shows up everywhere. And now you've got emails associated with wherever you are in the application. And that's what happens. So if we go and look at here, that email tab, so I've selected the email tab on that CRM account, so I can see that I've got a whole list of emails here that I've had in exchange with that customer. And if you highlight one, you can see the content of it here, so you can see what was on that email. And then if you double click on one, you'll see the actual email. So it brings up the email, saves that whole email in the XPeople database. So when you bring it up, you'll see everything here, just as if you were looking at it in email, because you are. It brings it up in whatever the default mail client is for the computer you're on. I happen to be on a Mac in this instance, so it brings it up in Mac Mail. You can see the content of the email, the subject, all of that. You can even see the attachment. This is an attachment that was on that particular email. So you can see it there, and that's how you can view these email messages. So they end up getting attached on that email tab, and now you get a view of them all over the application. I'm going to show it live and in action in just a little bit here. The next way that we do email is to push out documents associated with certain transactions in the system. So in this case here, we're looking at a sales order, and I've check the little checkbox on the sales order that says print sales order acknowledgement upon save. And when I do, it also triggers, because I've got Connect in here, and because I've had this customer set up to receive sales order acknowledgement via email, it brings up this little window here, and this is the template that you've set up for this customer. It has who it goes to and the subject line. It has the content of the email. It will also, if I go to the other tab here, we can see that it's got an attachment on it. So here's the attachment. It's got the form, so it's pulling from the sales order acknowledgement form. And if I click the preview button here, you actually get to view the PDF here. So it brings up the PDF, and you can see the sales order acknowledgement. So this is what gets then handed off to your email system and will go out as an email to that customer. So that's one example. You know, again, I said that you can do sales orders, you can do invoices, purchase orders to vendors. That's the idea, though, is that you can push out these documents. All right. All right, are we ready for another question? Sure.
I'm going to pop one up here.
Okay. We'll do another polling question here.
Okay. Connect can be used for, go ahead and select all those blocks. Integrating email with CRM, emailing documents to trading partners, scheduling tasks, for example, MRP, or all of the above. All right, looks like we've got, most everybody answered here. So the answer was all of the above. Looks like a couple of people choose integrating email with CRM, emailing documents, but Connect does all of those things.
It's a little bit of a trick question because I didn't really specifically talk about the fact that it does those things, but it does do a number of other things besides email, right? I keep referring to it as the Swiss Army knife of a tool here at XPeople. It does allow you to push out email documents and attach email documents, but it also allows you to schedule certain tasks like MRP. So if you wanted to, if you were using the commercial edition, either distribution or manufacturing, and you wanted to run MRP and you wanted to run it at night, you can run it at night and run it every night, so it runs automatically. One of the tools that you get is a little console with XPeople that allows you to schedule and reschedule and make events repetitive, like running MRP. Maybe I want to run MRP all the time. I'll show you actually where that comes into play in just a little bit. So, for example, if I wanted to run MRP here, so I'm on the latest version of the software here, which is 4.3. I'm going to click the little button up here that says Run MRP by Planner Code. So I've got the ability to run it interactively, right? So I can run MRP, for one planner code, subset of my items. I can run it across all items, which would be all planner codes. You can actually run MRP for one product. I could run it by site or multiple sites. I can give it a date. I can say, maybe look out to the end of the month and run MRP that way. And I can hit OK, and that will run MRP immediately, right? It will run it interactively. The other thing that I can do is hit this schedule button. And anytime you see the schedule button now, what it's doing is handing it off to Connect. So it's saying, hey, I want to run it ASAP, which would allow Connect to kind of run it immediately, but I can also say I want to schedule it. So maybe I want to schedule it for today at 9 p.m. So if I hit schedule here, then that will automatically send that job over to Connect, and later I can come into Connect when that shows up at 9 o'clock, and I can reschedule, or I can set up that to run every time. So once jobs are in here, then I can come into Connect and say how often I want them to be scheduled. So I can have that happen kind of repetitively. So I'm going to move to close that. All right. So let's just take a look at some of the places that we see Connect and some of the kind of impacts of Connect. So I gave you a few kind of views of that in the PowerPoint here, but one that I use a lot when I'm using the software and when I'm showing the software is its connection in the CRM. I find this really, really powerful. So if you're using it in the CRM, you've got this email tab. Anytime you want to come in, you can see the emails that are here. If I wanted to view the content of that email, I can highlight, I can right-click, I can see it inside the application, but I open it up and I can see the whole content of the email here too. So that's kind of a nice way to see all of the emails that are related to it. And what you're seeing here in the CRM account is actually a roll-up of all of the emails that have been attached at the contact level. One of the first questions that we often get is, well, how does XPeople know where to put that email, right? Because when it comes in, it's sitting in a table. How do we know where to see it? How do we know how to get access to it? And what happens is that it attaches via this email address. So I've got this email address in lots of places in the application, but so any emails that are in the application that have this email address for Mike Farley, it will attach to his contact. So if I opened it up, we'll see the Mike Farley emails. He's got an email tab here too. So I'll see all of those Mike Farley emails, and those will all roll up to the CRM account. So they really attach kind of first and foremost by the email address. However, another way that they attach is if you initiate an email from inside the application by just clicking on the email address, you can see it knows what to do with that. So it opens up whatever the default mail client that's on the computer that you're on, and it puts this tag on here. So this tag is then what's used by the application to know where to make it viewable. See, what we're looking at here is a tag that says CRM account T-Toys. So the application then knows, hey, you need to make this visible on this tab, CRM account T-Toys. So that email would later show up here and be visible here inside the application. So just a little bit of kind of setup and where this all happens. The other question that I often get is, well, if we're downloading all of the email, isn't that a little troublesome? Is my personal email going to end up in here? And the answer is no, don't worry, don't panic. Your personal emails are not going to get in there because we actually have the ability to pick and choose which emails, or actually more correctly, what folders of your email get synced to the ERP. So let's look at my demo email here, where I've got these various folders associated, right? And now we use IMAP, and this is using IMAP is really the way that you can do this. In the same way that you've got your same folders on your phone as you do in your work email, we then give you that same ability to see those folders inside the ERP application. So I'm looking at my folders here inside my mail system, and I'll go back to the ERP, go into Preferences, and we're going to see a tab that, again, you won't see unless you've got Connect installed, which is this Email tab. And it says Launch Trahita Client. Trahita Client is the name of the email client that is an IMAP client that's inside the ERP application. So we launch that. And so now what we're looking at is an IMAP view of that same thing that we saw before, right? Those same email folders that are here before. So this setup you really only have to do once, but this is what allows you to have, certain folders synced. So in my example here, only the folders with the little XPeople X there are the ones that are synced. The draft folder isn't synced, and this undemo folder isn't synced, but work ones are, and demo-related ones are. And if I wanted my undemo one to be synced, I could just highlight it. I could right-click, and I could say synchronize with XPeople, and then that one would also be synced. That's how the system knows which ones to bring in to the application, so that you've got them then in the application. And if there's no tag on them, they're going to attach to the contact, roll up to the CRM account. If there's a tag on them, they could be associated with a sales order, could be associated with a purchase order, could be associated with a project. The tag is really what's going to direct it, other than on the contact. The other kind of important thing to note is it's only in the database once, right? There's one email table, and it's only in there once. What you're doing is just potentially providing different views. So it's available on the contact, it's available in the CRM account. That same email, if it's tagged, could also be on a project. But it's just different ways to view it. So you don't have it in there with multiple copies more than once. One last thing that I'll point out about Connect before we take connections here, or before I take questions here, is anytime you're looking at a list, if you're a user of Connect, this bar up here looks a little familiar. And if you're not a user of Connect, you might see an extra button. The extra button is this schedule button. So if you're not a user of Connect, you're not going to have the schedule button. You're just going to have more and print and preview. But having the schedule button allows you to do what I did with MRP, which is say, hey, schedule this report. And now I can get this list of accounts to show up in my email on a scheduled basis, or immediately if I want to. And that's all over the place, right? I'm looking at a list of items now. I can see that. I can look at inventory availability, same kind of thing. If I wanted to see the inventory availability report out 30 days, I can schedule that report and have that sent. So that's the kind of things that you can do with Connect. You can enable email. You can synchronize your email from a CRM perspective. You can push out documents to your trading partners via email. You can send emails to yourself with the system. That's what this allows you to do. And one last thing that I'll touch on is it also allows you to do kind of more higher end, let's call it EDI. So if you're dealing with a trading partner that says, email is nice, but if you want to do business with me, you're going to have to go over this van. Or we've got a nice, or several customers that do business directly with some of their customers. They need to pass a file, but they don't go through a van. They go directly. So one customer in particular I can think of works with Whole Foods. Well, Whole Foods says, we don't have to use the van if you can send me an XML file. Well, you can use Connect to do that same kind of thing, to send an XML file. So in the same way that it will queue up an email and send it along the way, it can queue up an XML file and send it to or drop it in an FTP server somewhere. That's one of the ways that Whole Foods will do business with you and actually offer you better terms if you'll do it that way. So we've got Whole Foods out there. We've got customers doing business with Home Depot, with Walmart, with Kroger, with Publix, Target. So lots of different customers doing different things with different trading partners. And it's funny, lots of times customers will ask, hey, does it do EDI? And the answer is yes. But what do you mean by EDI, right? I mean, at one end, sending out an email to your trading partner is one level of EDI, and another level is, working with Walmart and handing off a file over a van to a translator application. So any and all of those are possible. We've got a couple of great partners who do this, that kind of EDI transaction processing very well. So if you have a need for that, if you've got a trading partner who's been asking you about that and you want to get into it, whether you have Connect or not, we can connect you with that partner. If you have Connect, that will enable that. So you might think about using Connect to kind of better enable that. That's all I was going to really show today for Connect and review today for Connect. I'd like to open it up to questions. If you have any questions.
Actually, Wally, I'd like to jump in here. We've got one more polling question.
First, let's do one more polling question with Cam, and then we'll get to questions.
I know you guys love these polls. Let's get it going. So the last question is, XPeople Connect counts as a separate user. Would that be true or false?
And this would be a guess or best estimate, because we haven't really reviewed this content.
No, we haven't.
But I want you to guess and think about what you might consider Connect to be. Because the system does see it as a user, but let's see if you think it counts as a user.
We got either some good guessers or some XPeople veterans on here. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. For those of you that did vote, you got it right. The answer is, oh, I'm sorry. You got it wrong. Connect does count as a separate user.
Well,
in all for technical.
no, the system sees it as another user, but it doesn't count. That's what I was getting at with the question. Sorry, I made the question a little bit gray. So the idea here is that it doesn't count against your license. The system does see it as an extra user. So if you are a Connect license holder, you actually get an extra user in your license counter. So that was kind of the point of that question. So,
tricked the poller.
I did. I tricked everybody. Outsmarted everybody. Sorry about that. So everybody that said false was really, you would have been right either way, I guess. So as I had mentioned earlier, we do have a great Pazo here. So if you had any more technical questions about how Connect works or how it's set up or where you go to start getting it set up or anything along those lines, we're happy to answer those questions. If you have any more broader questions about Connect itself, if you don't have any questions, we can wrap it up. And if you think of a question at a later time and want to ask us, please feel free to send a note to sales@xpeople.com, and we'd be happy to answer your Connect-related questions.
So if you've got a question, raise your hand or put something in the chat, or preferably in the the questions window there. And I'm not seeing anybody poking their heads out right now, so I think with that we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Like Wally said, if you have any other questions, sales@xpeople.com is a good place to go. Send us an email, and we'll be sure to get right back to you. So, thank you everybody for attending, and see you next time.
Thanks everybody.